Aboraboye. You know, the most angry, volatile, frustrated people who I have met in Orisha lifestyle tend to be people who have been given uh, a charge or an idea that they are meant to do something great in this tradition. You know, they've been told you're going to be a powerful priestess, you're going to be an influential priest, you're going to have hundreds or maybe even thousands of godchildren, and you're going to be the stuff that legend is made of. And that's it. That's it. They're not at all prepared to carry that out. So consequently, these are people who have the idea of what they'd like to become, and they may resonate with that idea very strongly, but they are in no way prepared to accept the limitations on one side of the equation that go with that particular station, right? Being a leader, being a priest, being a service provider, it has certain limitations. There's just certain things that, you know, they're parameters. Likewise, they're not prepared to accept the obligations that go along with that particular station. So there are things that you have to do. There are things that, you know, mindsets and attitudes and you know, habits and behaviors that you must adopt in order to play a certain role. And so the people who buy into the idea that they want to play a certain role, but they can't accept the limitations on one side or they can't accept the obligations on the other side or both, they tend to turn out uh, very dissatisfied, and as a result of their dissatisfaction, frustrated, angry, and, you know, in a perpetual state of agitation and conflict. Right? They cannot seem to just be at ease with what they're doing. You know what I mean? They're constantly just, you know what I mean, irritating. That's just antagonistic. Everything about their place is antagonistic, you know, to the people around them. And you know them almost instantaneously, right? It doesn't take a long time to figure out, like, man, this person is really uncomfortable. And I think it's, for me personally, that's the saddest thing that I can see. I don't think that Ifa, in particular, is designed to set you up for that kind of, like, frustration. To me, Ifa is a natural path of realizing your destiny. It sets out the parameters that if you follow these, the real truth of what Ifa is telling you, it should give you the context for fulfillment and limitless joy, right? And that's really why, however, I make the distinction between destiny and fate. And Ifa really focusing on fate and Ori focusing on destiny. Because when you understand that Ifa is going to give you the parameters of your fate, all the do's and don'ts, right? The limitations as well as the obligations. That's where Ifa is going to tell you. Then it frees you up to really focus on yourself, on Ori. This is who I really am. This is where I'm really coming from. This is where I'm really truly going, right? And I like to help people grasp the concept of Ori from a natural perspective. So I like giving you the analogy, for example, of let's say if you go and consult Ifa, Ifa says your fate is to become a grandfather. That's your place. You're going to be a grandfather, right? Instead of saying you're going to be a great priest or a great priestess, let's say Ifa says your fate is to become a great grandfather. You're going to be, you know, surrounded by grandchildren, and they're going to be beautiful and healthy and strong, and they're going to give you your happiest moments, and they're going to go out into the world, and they're going to have a tremendous impact. That's your destiny. Okay, that's what the road of fate will bring you to. Right? You follow all of the do's and don'ts. Boom, it's gonna culminate in your identity as a grandfather, right? That's how we can see the destiny and fate go hand in hand, and boom, the title of this result is grandfather, powerful grandfather. Now, in order for you to become a grandfather, though, in order for you to realize what it means to be a grandfather, there's certain things you're going to have to go through. It's not something that somebody's going to tell you and then you're just going to understand, right? It's not something that if I tell you you're a grandfather and the limitations of being a grandfather are, you can't jump fences, you can't go out there and be boxing, you can't drink all night, and you can't, miss meals, right? That's a limitation, right? But you're 22 years old, and I'm giving you the limitations of a grandfather. It's not going to make sense. It's not going to make sense. You're not going to be able to even begin to accept what that means. Likewise, if I tell you the obligations of being a grandfather, you're going to have to provide, material resources for, 40 people who are your grandchildren and your children. You're going to have to be settling disputes and, having meetings for 6 hours a day with all your family members and the insurance company and the vendor for this and that, because you're running a family business and this is how you provide for your lineage. You're 22 years old. You barely gotten your first job, let alone run a business. You don't have any idea of what those obligations are all about. You can't make sense of it. You cannot make sense of it. So me being a phenomenal babalawo, and I can give you all the details of your limitations and your obligations, exactly what Ifa says. And I mean, I'm reading it down to the way you spend your day. Well, you haven't evolved to that point yet. You haven't gotten there. So all the things that I'm telling you, no matter how detailed they are, they never coalesce on any reality within your day-to-day existence. And they won't for another 40 years. You see? So it's important, it's essential that for me, as your Babalawo, I'm going to have to bring that all the way back to today. I may not be talking to you about being a grandfather. I'm going to be talking to you about where you are right now as a 22-year-old and helping you to apprehend all of the ways of life and the ways of thinking that you need to absorb and master right now, so that when you go into the next phase of life, you will be a step closer to actually fulfilling your destiny. But you can't go from this stage to the end. You're going to have to go one step after another step after another step. And it may be a long time before the culmination of your experience and the information actually starts to form a picture that you can understand. You can see yourself. Oh, this is what it's all adding up to. I get it. Right? So that's how I have to prepare you to embrace your destiny, to recognize your destiny, to accept your destiny, and then start to really fully and purposefully optimize your destiny. This is so crucial. It's a huge necessity in your fulfillment. Because, like I said, if you don't, then you end up in that category of these very frustrated, unfulfilled, disappointed people who somewhere in their minds, they know that they're supposed to be doing something else, but they don't want to accept the limitations and the obligations that will prepare them to fulfill it. And so they just live out a life of deep-seated frustration and anger. All right? So I really want to urge everyone slow down and face yourself. It may be very mundane and uneventful and downright boring at points. But the closer you get to truly facing yourself right here, right now, understanding what your natural gifts and talents are, understanding how you can optimize those natural gifts and talents, understanding who you serve right now. If you can really slow everything down, forget about Shango, forget about Ifa, forget about Oshun, forget about becoming something that you already see out there in the world, the next greatest priest or priestess. Forget about all that. Just face yourself. Get serious about knowing who you are and what you bring into the world. Take your time, step by step, to develop a deeper and deeper understanding of who you are. And I guarantee you, in the long run, by the time you start to get really close to the finished product, oh, everything is going to make so much more sense. It's going to be so much more clear, and you're going to be happier. You're not going to be so frustrated because you actually can see and feel the connection between where you are and where you're going. All right? That's the nature of Ifa. That's how we approach spiritual development here in the School of Orisa Studies and within the Orisa Lifestyle Academy. Everything that we're doing is geared towards self-discovery. Every book, every class, every certification, it's all intended to help you experience self-discovery so that you can live the medicine that will heal your life and then heal the lives of those who you're destined to serve. So please, if you have the opportunity, if you want to learn more, I'm looking for people who are interested in this real profound inside out, bottom up process of spiritual development. If this appeals to you, if this works for you, if this resonates with your sensibilities, visit me online at obafemio.com, at orishalifestyle.com. Do a Google search for the School of Orisa Studies or the Orisa Lifestyle Academy, and find out how we can start working together to optimize your natural gifts and talents and upgrade your spiritual practice to the next level. Abora boye, aboshishe.